Hello, I'm Leslie Smith with McCormick LA Public Relations, and I'm a few minutes late. I filled out all this stuff that you do to go live, and it said something went wrong. So I had to redo it all. So thank you for your patience. If you are here, thank you. If you're watching it later, thank you for watching it later. So I have something to my advantage that I think other public relations and marketing people of the now don't have. I'm from the past. Meaning, I understand and use digital marketing just fine, but I know everything up to this point too, where the other people who are just entering the market and trying to do this only know social media. They only know digital marketing tactics. So those don't always work for everybody, especially when you're starting out. It's unfamiliar. You're not quite sure who exactly your market is yet because you're new. So, and that's a normal thing when you start your business. You uh, think you have a hypothesis of this is who I'm going to help. And sometimes it shifts, sometimes you are spot on, and sometimes you renegotiate what your product is to hit that market or you find a new market. And that's just normal. So, one of the things that often gets overlooked, and that's the name of today's talk, is how to skyrocket your visibility with this often overlooked tactic. So what people often overlook is the value of community relations. And most 20 something, 30 somethings may not, probably won't recommend this to you, or they will only use it from a digital perspective. And using digital technology will make this easier, no doubt. But it's overlooked and they're not recommending it as much and you're not seeing it as much. So this is community relations. So community relations is a kind of public relations and it's getting you out there in the community. Okay? So it's usually less expensive than, spending a lot of money to reach the same amount of people with advertising. It puts you with the public so you find out exactly what they're thinking about you and how to tweak your messaging or your product or your pricing, whatever needs to happen. So, I'm going to give you some different kinds of community relations today that you can do. And it doesn't matter. People think, oh, no, that's for big organizations or big companies. And that's not necessarily true. You can scale this accordingly. And I've done it with super small businesses, all of these things. So, but it's a way to, if you want to be a big fish, you have to act like a big fish. So anything that you can see that a big organization's doing, you can scale appropriately. Okay. So don't be intimidated by that. That's only for them. A Super Bowl ad, yes, probably. But something like this, not necessarily. Okay. So drinking from my husband's cup. So let's start with some of these things. So the first one is contest. Contests can be a lot of fun because you're asking the public to really get to know your product. And maybe you're having them come up with a tagline for you or a new product for you or um, something, a new color to use or anything. You can have a contest for anything or show us, your best use of this product. I can remember years ago was Waterford Crystal. Send in your ideas of how else you can use a crystal glass, right? So people were trying to break out of, I just use crystal glasses for fine dining. It's really pretty on your desk with pens in it. Oh, you can use it to hold jelly beans on Easter morning, whatever. So putting those ideas into people's heads so they have other reasons to use your product. Okay. And they're generating those ideas and then you can share them out. I'm going to go through pros and cons of each one of the things that I talked to you about today. So the pros for contests is that that you are inviting people to participate with you and brainstorm new ideas. And that's very fun for people. People like to be able to do that, tell you what's wrong, tell you how it could be better. Or participate, maybe it's the cutest baby photo, those kinds of things. They're also telling your story because they want theirs to win. If you do it public facing and you do a People's Choice Award, something like that, then people are out there telling people. And you've seen these on Facebook and other social media platforms where maybe it's an arts grant was one that was recently done. Cutest couple was another one that I've recently seen. And what's interesting on both of those, and they were criticized in the comments, is you could buy more votes to vote for those people. And it went to a charitable organization, but so it was a fundraiser for them as well. But some people didn't like it because they thought it should be straight out popularity contest, not a money contest, right? So you're buying votes. So um be mindful of what the backlash can be of how you put your project together. The cons are that if you promise to use one of those things, you have to use one of those things. Now, you don't have to promise, right? You can say, enter to win such and such. All entries go into a drawing. So it's not necessarily about good, better, or best. It's about you participating and just going into a drawing. So maybe you have to subscribe. That is a decent way to build up your email list. You may have drop off right away because people only join to win that thing. I recently paid $25 to the breast cancer fund for their van life because I wanted to win their souped up pink VW van. Now every week they're like, keep contributing to win, because then you'd go into the next raffle, and I quit. I'm like, no, $25, one chance. If I win, great. If not, so, but I'm not going to stay in their email. I'm not, right. So I'm all done with that now. And they still keep sending me things. So it's text. I'm going to tell them to stop. Okay. So you're anticipate that. That's one of the things. If people just want to win the prize, they may not be interested in working with you further, staying attached to you through text or email. The other thing is, if you promise to use it, you might have really bad entries. And this happened one time. We had promised, I was working with a local pizzeria, and we did a recipe contest with kids. And we fit it into the school curriculum. And so that they could see that it was food groups then, the pyramid. It's a little bit different now, but it was the pyramid. They could see how they could build a pizza using the food groups, using a protein, vegetables, some dairy, a little bit of fats, grains, etc. So they learned how a pizza could be healthy. So that was the curriculum portion that met the state curriculum. And so the teacher's like, oh, yes, we can do this, because then they can check off that they had a nutrition element in their classroom. We got some great recipes that would have been super easy to market, but we did it with the judges. Okay. So that was another element of the story. So there was a news story that we were doing these recipe contests. There was a news story about who the judges were, because they were from local organizations, chambers of commerce, of journalists, etc. So they were writing a story that they were doing it, but we did it strictly on what the judges liked for taste. And the pizza that won had like 20 ingredients. And it was this mishmash of flavors that tasted great, and it'd probably work now. This was in the 90s. It had things like shredded lettuce, maraschino cherries, Doritos. Right? And the promise was, we'll have that pizza as the pizza of the month. And then $1 from each of those pizzas sold will go back to the winning school. Okay. It didn't work because the pizza looked so weird. The poor pizzeria had to keep all these weird ingredients that they would otherwise not use. So our promise sort of failed in that way. We should have, moving forward, we could have done, this was our judges' favorite. So we could have called it Long Beach, judges table or something. That was the one weird one. We could have done the marketable one, which was like a chili cheese hot dog pizza or a Philly cheesesteak pizza. Those are very easy for people to understand, right? So we could have done the marketable one that the organization chose, that the business chose. And then we could have done a people's choice, because we could have done something with a bigger party, not just the judges and the kids, and let them choose maybe from the top 10 and see what wins. And that could be a whole event around that. Okay. So, and I've seen many tagline contests for the city of Long Beach come up with our newest tagline. They're never very good. They last a month because nobody really liked them at all, and, sometimes it would be for the whole city, and other time, and a group would engineer it as a special project. "Yeah, we're gonna see what's out there," and it just didn't they don't stick. Okay, so that's the cons of it. You need to control how it's going to be used, how it's going to roll out, all of those things. So you need to be very mindful of that. Another way to do community relations would be a groundbreaking. So if you are about to start something and you do a groundbreaking, and it can be super small, it could be, some officials and the pretty shovels. And you can find those online, the pretty shovels that are ceremonious. You can get them engraved if you want for your investors, whatever. Any shovel will do, though. Just get some new shovels at Home Depot or Lowe's, and you're golden. You can even paint them gold. You can do whatever you want, but they do have some very fancy ones that are somewhat expensive. Depends on the size of your groundbreaking. So those are great in getting people super excited about a new building, a new product, maybe, a new arm of your uh, uh, official building, a new wing, so to speak. Those it creates excitement for that. Okay, that's great. And then you can keep telling the story. And it does get people involved that don't necessarily get a lot of recognition. So your contractors, your architects, whatever, if it's an actual physical building. But you can call it a groundbreaking, and you sort of make a twist on that, where it's groundbreaking for, you know, a reuse of a room or something that, had been a conference room. Now it's going to be a child visitation center or something. And you could do the groundbreaking might be peeling wallpaper or, spray painting something. You can be creative on that. You can stretch what that word means. The downside of a groundbreaking is now everybody knows what point zero was. Everyone knows when it started. Projects get delayed for lots of reasons. And now they're tapping their toes. Is this ever going to happen? Oh my gosh, it's been forever. What's the holdup? I bet they ran out of money. Didn't they plan for this? So you can have some negative perceptions of something taking long when most of the time it's out of your control. It's some permitting issue or a part that needs to come, or you uncovered mold, or you uncovered, something else. The electrical needs to be redone. Something's not to code. So all good reasons to delay a project, but it does delay the project, and you can't call everybody and tell them exactly why it's happening and, when everything's going to happen, right? So that could be the downside of that. The next thing, grand openings. Grand openings are fantastic because everything's done. And if you did a groundbreaking, you can also do the grand opening, and you bookend that project, which is really nice. And if you tie it to an anniversary, it's even better. So if you do a grand opening, a ribbon cutting, get your Chamber of Commerce involved. They probably have a program for that with the big scissors and the ribbon, and they'll help you get the um, elected officials there. They come for free. These are no cost things, right? If you're already a member of a chamber, it's probably they're happy to do it, and they might have an ambassador program that comes there, and a lot of people show up and do these things. If you're a restaurant, you do a ribbon cutting, you want people to sample your food. You can tie in a cause marketing thing depending on the time of the year. Maybe it's a school supply drive, so people come with something and then you give them something back. Then you have the presentation of whatever you've collected to give to whatever organization you're giving it to, whether it's the local school or a Boys and Girls Club or a shelter or whatever. So there's a lot of things that you can build into a ribbon cutting, right? Okay, so the downside of a ribbon cutting is sometimes the people who come and care about those things, tasting your food, or they heard maybe you're not a restaurant, but you're going to have some, a cotton candy bar or whatever. Some people come for the frill, and they're not attached to your business or organization in any way. So similar to joining the contest, they might just do it for that day. They're not necessarily going to turn into lifelong customers. That's okay. You can totally work around that. It's better to have, high visibility and high participation with great photos that go in the newspaper than to have your first 10 super loyal donors, right? It's that visibility piece. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a big deal. We missed it, right? So you want people to go, oh, we need to check that out. That's so great. They're starting this, and look how they must really know what they're doing because all these people were there. Okay, that's what that communicates. Okay, so and you can do a lot with a ribbon cutting, right? So you can do tours, you could do a contest. In addition to that, you can sign people up for things. You could have a discount on something if they sign in there. So all of those things, you can start your, frequent visitor card that day. Give them 2 punches if they come in that day or something, and they need 10 to get a free lunch or something, right? So you can build in a lot of other things in a simple ribbon cutting. Okay, or grand openings. I should say grand opening. Mascots. So, have you ever thought of having a mascot? These are super great for things that can be really boring. Okay, so early in my career, I did a lot of work with transportation organizations and water districts, a lot of government civil engineering kinds of things. And they had mascots. Mascots were common. So they would want to do for transportation, we would want to do school curriculum. So kids learned about traffic safety, not jutting out the highway, whatever, the importance of moving vehicles, moving goods. So you talk about, the civil engineering side of things. What's it take to build a bridge, and why are we building this bridge, and how people are moving around their community. Okay, so that almost every transportation company or organization out there has some sort of a safety cone with a face and hands. Okay, and that would show up in Connie Cone or whatever they called her. That would show up in little cartoons that we drew and worksheets that we would give them as well. You might have Connie Cone at a public fair to talk about the progress being made on this transportation thing. It draws attention. What's the cone doing here? Right? Little kids are like, I want a picture about the cone, whatever. Okay, so it draws attention, it draws visibility. Oh, I heard about that. It gives people opportunities to ask questions, whether your mascot talks or not. There's somebody there that can answer the questions. Same with water conservation. Most water departments, especially in California, have some sort of Ronnie the Raindrop for water conservation. And it's a cute little raindrop, big eyes, and talks about, saving a gallon a day or whatever. Okay. And the impact that makes, and how we use our water, and how we don't store water as well as we should, but how we collect water, how we use reclaimed water, all of what is the whole water cycle. We talk about weather, all of those things that can be very dry, but if Ronnie the Raindrop's telling you, it wakes things up and people take notice of it, and they're instantly reminded, oh right, we're supposed to flush less or whatever, right? So they identified the mascot with the cause and what they're supposed to remember. So the visibility goes up when they see you at these different things with a mascot. Now, the con for this is you have to have a mascot. So you might have to have somebody wearing a costume, which that might not be worthwhile or working for your organization. Maybe it's just you. You don't have to have that. You can work around that. That may be too onerous for you. I dressed up as a mascot one time because I wanted my client to be at a particular event, and they said, "We use volunteers for that. It's hard to get the volunteers. They're union. It's na 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 na." I go, I'll do it. Give me the costume." And I had great fun, and I didn't talk, which is kind of fun too. You're just, some anonymity, and just walked around and, brought people over, and they got the samples of the product, and, they took pictures with me, and it was really fun. It's also really deadly hot in that stupid costume. So if you can't do that, you can do it on paper. Like the transportation, Connie the Cone would be on all of the school curriculum stuff, whatever it was. You could do the same thing. So if you have a, product or a cause that lends itself to something cute and cuddly, like Children's Hospital of Orange County has a bear. Okay. Because children's health, severe health issues, not cute and cuddly, but a teddy bear is. And I think there's a little bandage on his leg. It's a teddy bear. It's Choco the bear. So it lightens things for you. So it could be something that's, just something that shows up in your social media, just a little post, or that's the person who says things that that could be the person who's asking the questions, your frequently asked questions. It could be introduced by your mascot. Okay. Um, I've been a mascot for something else too, but that's another story. And then awards. So this is the last one I'll talk about today, but these are some good ones, right? So contests and groundbreakings, grand openings, mascots, and then awards. You can do awards that are serious and uplifting, advancements made in your cause, or discoveries made for something that changes how you do business, those kinds of things. I knew this nonprofit one time that there was a legislator who happened to introduce a bill that helped their organization a great deal. They had not lobbied with him at all. They knew who he was. He introduced this bill because he had somebody in his family that had the same condition that this organization existed for. Okay. And they were very savvy and went, let's give him an award. What award? We'll create an award. Very quickly, they created their Legislator of the Year award, held a press conference. Okay. So all that's required there is you need a place and you need to get the press there. It used to be back before the digital age, you had to supply phones and all sorts of different things and places for journalists to work, and press conferences were complicated. They're not anymore. So you can just invite people. We're offering this award. You could do it at a luncheon or a big event. They didn't do that. They wanted to bring attention to this legislation coming through as quickly as possible. And so they just quickly said, we're having a press conference, and sir, we're giving you an award and we want you here. What works for you? We're bringing the press. And they got cameras there. They were on the 6 o'clock news. They had a couple press clippings just for a few hours of work, right? So that didn't take a lot of maneuvering. It didn't take a ton of forethought. They seized an opportunity. And you can do that too and create an award. You could start doing with your clients. It could be something internal that then you give them a way to share externally. Maybe you have 10 clients that you work with on a regular basis, and you give them all some sort of fun award at an event. And you give them that, you take their picture and you give them some social media posts that say, I won the blah, blah, blah award, and then what the award means. It can be very tongue in cheek, or it can be very serious. This person took a risk. We had, they were in a jam, and this is what we ended up doing. And they, trusted us, and we want to give them the trust award or whatever. And then they tell their story on social media. Like, my agency gave me this because I trusted them. They got me out of this jam, blah, 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 blah. So that testimonial goes out there and increases your visibility, increases the success story. So you could do that with just a few clients, or multiple clients. And you could do it, more publicly if it grows. And remember, when you do these things, I have a mentor that used to say, especially about fundraisers, but it's for any marketing too, this year is for next year. So anything you do the first time, you're learning from it, and it's going to be better next year because you've learned. This year is for next year. So the first year is never going to be the biggest thing in the world, right? I mean, you might, but that group lucked out by having that press conference. But I don't even know that was their biggest story. It was a story that they got, right? They were savvy and they took advantage of it. But be patient, let things build. But awards can be very fun. Now, if you have an annual client appreciation, or maybe if you're a nonprofit, an annual gala, and you tie an award to that, that creates more visibility because now that person is telling all their friends, I won the Man of the Year award or whatever, Researcher of the Year, whatever your award is, humanitarian award, then they are sharing it out. Okay. So it 10 times your visibility out to the public. And they don't have to, you can do awards that aren't very serious. And still get a lot of recognition for it. If you're an expert in something, your awards don't have to be your clients. Think of the the Golden Raspberry Awards or the Razzies. They make a list of the worst movies of the year. Okay, they didn't have anything to do with the production of those films. They didn't do the casting. They didn't do anything. They come up with this list. They have a party. Everybody, you know, you post, who won a Razzie, da da da, and you may go, "What was that movie? Gosh, I missed that. I got to watch it now." So it may even help the movie that was really bad. But you can create something like that where you become the thought leader and position yourself as the authority in those awards. These were the 10 best articles written about what I do this year. Like not necessarily about you, but about your industry or about your niche or cause. Okay, so you can come up with your own top 10 list, and you could do something, make an announcement live on YouTube. You can invite the press. You can send out a press release. You can alert the people who are on it for them to then also send out a press release. Hey, I got on this list, kind of thing. So then it exponentially grows. Okay, so we are at time. And I went through everything I wanted to say. And if nothing else, participate in tabling events. So if it's a health fair, a business expo, anything to do with your cause where you have an opportunity to talk to the public, do that. And don't just sit there and wait for people to come up to your table and take a brochure. I see that all too often. I go, do those people even care about their organization? It's like they're a temp. Don't be like a temporary person that's just sitting there to waste your time and get paid. So they sit there and they look around, they barely say hi to anyone. That's not the way to do it. So stand up, talk to people, come around the table and talk to them. Find out what they're about. Why did they walk up to the table? What do they need to learn? Ask them about themselves. Build those relationships. Have you ever heard of our organization before? Have you ever heard of this business? Do you use a public relations consultant now? Do you use any PR in your business? How is that going for you? What's been good? What's been bad? Okay, this is how I do it differently. Okay, take advantage of those opportunities actively. Don't sit back and just watch people walk by and take your candy and your keychain. That's not what you need to do. You need to be very active. Okay, so I've given you a host of community relations ideas. I hope that this is helpful for you. Please leave a like. Please send me your questions. I will be here again 10 o'clock next Wednesday, and I hope that you enjoy this. Okay, thank you.